Good evening from the Philippines. Good afternoon in Moscow. Magandang hapon at magandang gabi sa ating lahat. This is the first, hopefully in a series of webinars between the Moscow State University, the premier state university in Russia, and the Abra State Institute of International Relations, soon Abra Institute of Science and Technology, and hopefully will soon be the Abra State University. So welcome to this first Nusantara, but of course Dr. Baklanaba will talk later about the Nusantara program. But this is our first webinar, and so far we're all very excited, and we hope that this will be a very productive evening and afternoon for all of us. We will, during these exchanges, our friends from Moscow will try to learn as much as they can about the Abra culture, and then in the next sessions we will also have speakers coming from Moscow, and we're very excited to learn from each other. Okay, and hopefully Dr. Prolova, Dr. Baklanov, this will lead to a more formal and deeper relationship between our two schools. Actually, I'm already suggesting if it's possible for the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Abra State and the Moscow State University, so we can really further our collaboration, specifically on matters related to culture in the Abra province, in the Abra region of the Philippines. Okay, so we will. I will just try to recognize some of those participants coming from Abra here. Of course, we have our guest speakers whom I will introduce later, Dr. Bagioan and Mr. Elveña, who will deliver their pieces. And also we have here, is President Torquesa already here? President Torquesa.
I am present.
Okay, so we wish to recognize the presence of the President of the Abra State Institute of Science and Technology, Mr. Torquesa. He's here.
Hello, good evening.
SMX8160. And then, of course, unfortunately, the Vice President is attending some very important meetings somewhere in the Philippines now, so he cannot attend. We also have here the Director of International Relations, Miss Teya Benedito. You're here? Teya. Anyway, she's here. I talked to her earlier. And then we have here the students, graduate students of Abra State Institute of Science and Technology. And of course, we have some other officials coming from the partner school here in Abra. Thank you very much, and we hope to have a very productive exchange this evening. Okay, Miss Ekaterina.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tabunda. Again, welcome everyone to this first. I hope it will be a series of lectures, maybe, because Abra is starting this, but we hope to have something in response from this side of the Institute of Asian and African Studies, and I hope to discuss this later with our colleagues from Abra, so that it would be of mutual interest, such a kind of exchange of lectures and academic sessions for the benefits of your party and the benefits of our students and your students as well. And we're happy to announce that today we're having lectures from two speakers from the Abra State Institute. The first is Dr. Elsa Bagioan, doctor. She has defended her PhD, and she is a specialist who has conducted 20 ethnographic researches on Tingguian culture, 3 of which won during the regional research conference, and she can tell you much about practices of the Tingguians, right? So she was the author of the best paper, The Lapat of the Vanau in Malipkong, etc., etc. So she's a great specialist on the Abra tribal culture. And our second speaker is Dr. Petronilo Elveña, who is actually by blood a progeny of the Gubang tribe and Mabaka tribe, and he has chosen to also do research on his own culture and the culture of the Abra people. He's currently an instructor at the College of Arts and Sciences of the Abra State Institute, and he's already a BA specialist in philosophy. And we hope to listen today his report on the Badong system, if I'm okay with the stress, and Bakta and Gubang, Mabaka and Manao. These are different groups, tribal groups, and we hope to listen firsthand from Dr. Elveña. Welcome everyone, and I would also like to, from the part of the Institute of Asian and African Studies and our Department of the Philology of Southeast Asian countries, Korea and Mongolia, we would like to greet you all, and again, we hope for our future extended cooperation. Maybe we could start and invite our first speaker, Dr. Elsa. Could you please share your presentation, and please, the floor is yours. We also need you to switch on your sound. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And I'm very happy to have been invited in order to share a product of my research on the Tingguian culture, representing a dozen tribe and also the Abra State Institute of Sciences and Technology. So the title of my research is The Indigenous Conflict Resolution of the Masadiit Tinggians of Bukluk Abra, Philippines. Indigenous people are a group of people who have continuously lived as an organized community in a defined territory and who have claimed of ownership, occupied and utilized such territory, sharing common bonds of language, customs, and traditions, and who are culturally and historically different from the majority of the people in a country. In the whole world, there are 476 million IPs, or indigenous people, spread in countries, and they belong to 5,000 indigenous groups. In the Philippines, there are 114 indigenous cultural communities in the different parts of the country, and among them are the Tinggians of Abra from the Cordillera Administrative Region in northern Philippines. The Tinggians belong to 12 subgroups who are living in the 24 towns of Abra. These subgroups of the Tinggians are the Dasan, where I belong, Banao, Balato, Binungan, Masadiit, Mabaka, Gubang, Maeng, Inlaod, Belwang, Muyadan or Amutan, and Diitan. The researcher, I'm referring to myself, belongs to the Dasan and Masadiit subgroups of Tinggians in Lagangilang Abra and Bukluk Abra. The Tinggians are known for their indigenous knowledge, systems, and practices, or IKSPS, which have been passed or transmitted by their ancestors and then to the present and young generation. One among their IKSPS is the Lalakay system, or the Council of Elders, which is still a strong system of traditional governance in the upland municipalities of Abra, like my own municipality, Bukluk. Statement of the problem. This study aims to document the indigenous conflict settlement of the Masadiit Tinggians in Bukluk Abra. Specifically, it answers the following questions. What is the composition of the Council of Elders of the Masadiit Tinggians in Bukluk Abra and their job functions? Second, what are two cases observed, recorded, and resolved by the Council of Elders in the community? Third, what are the processes on how the cases are resolved by the Council of Elders? Fourth, how is the conflict resolutions of the Masadiit Tinggians described? Scope and delimitation. This study documented the indigenous people settlement of the Masalit Tinggians in Bukluk, Abra, and 2 cases will be presented in this study. Conceptual framework. So I use the input, process, and output. For the input, the Council of Elders, their qualities, job functions, and 2 sample cases resolved by the Council of Elders or Lalakay in the local dialect. And for the process, I use interview and focus group discussions of selected key informants. Then to find out what are the processes of conflict settlement, filing of a case, calling for a forum, investigating, deliberation, swearing, decision, celebration, and integration of defender into the community. And for the output is the documentation of indigenous conflict settlement for the Masabiit of the Tinggians in Bukluk. Assumptions. This research worked on the following assumptions. 1, that the Council of Elders willingly disclosed the cases settled in the cultural community. 2nd, that the processes of conflict management of the indigenous Tinggians is used in promoting peace and order in the community. And 3rd, that the promotion of the indigenous conflict management of the Masalit Tinggians will be a complete implementation of the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act of 1997. Methodology. So this is the research site. So you can see the map of Abra with an arrow pointing to Bukluk, which is the research site. Research design. It's a descriptive qualitative research utilizing ethnographic processes. And when we say ethnography, this is a study on culture by means of immersion in the particular cultural community. The key informants are the members of the Council of Elders or the Lalakay and sectoral members of the cultural community of Bukluk, Abra. So the sampling is purposive sampling, wherein the different key informants are selected based on their knowledge of the topic and also their willingness to participate in the research. Data gathering instruments were interview and focus group discussions of the key informants. Data gathering procedure. So there was writing us to the key informants, asking their permission for this study and preparing the instruments which are guide questions for the interview and for the focus group discussion. Ethical considerations in this study. This research acknowledged the names of the Lalakay, the source of the indigenous knowledge systems and practices of the Masalit Indians. Guide questions are sensitive to the culture of the key informants. Cases documented are accurate as possible so as to maintain the objectivity of the analysis of data, and their responses were analyzed without prejudice or bias. Results and discussions. According to Amadukyang, the Council of Elders are men of 60 years old and above who are chosen through consensus by the members of the indigenous cultural community. In this case, it's Bukluk, Abra, by virtue of their standing position in the community. They are known for their wisdom, moral uprightness, integrity, and eloquence in speaking. They have a strong influence in the community with the integration of their words, actions, and their very life. Most of the members of the Council of Elders are rich to be able to feed the community and visitors during peace pact gatherings, or what we call in the local dialect, budong. The Council of Elders assume different roles in the community, like leaders, traditional leaders, mediators, peace pact holders, lapat, which is the local term for resource management, particularly of the river and the forest and the mountains, and masters of ceremonies during celebrations and rituals. They implement the settlement of cases from criminal and civil cases in the ICCs and also neighboring communities involved in order to maintain peace and order. They are eloquent and persuasive speakers, usually influencing their listeners and the community. They have rich experiences in the settlement of conflicts, which serve as a precedence in their judgment in resolving conflicts. So here are two examples of cases which were being solved by the Council of Elders. So there are many cases which are solved in the community, but I only selected two so that it will be within the 20 minutes I have been assigned to share. So the case of illegal fishing. Beneye, not his real name, is a police in Baclo. With two men accompanying him, they proceeded to a creek in Buklo called Nara, hiding an electric cord for fishing in their backpack or nagpi. The following morning, they came home to Barangay Labaan with abundant catch of fish and shrimps. The community folks believe that they use an illegal way of fishing, which is banned by the community as an ordinance of Lapa. Of elders summoned the three men in a forum in the plaza and investigated them. Some witnesses among the neighborhood gave their statements of seeing them using illegal fishing, which is electric cord. The Council of Elders investigated the three men, and there were witnesses who saw them using the electric cord in fishing. And finally, Beneye was investigated to ferret out the truth. And Beneye, who is then a police, accepted his violation. Humbly said, I committed a violation in the fishing system of the people of the Massabique. The Council of Elders meted out punishment to Beneye, which is the butchering of a carabao, a penalty agreed upon during the sealing of the agreement of the Lapat ordinances. So during the Lapat ordinance sealing of it, the whole community were invited, and they agreed that when somebody is going to violate a particular rule in resource management, or what we call as Lapat, they will butcher the same animal during the sealing. And this is a carabao. So as a penalty, he fed the whole community, and he promised that he's not going to do again illegal fishing. The Council of Elders accepted his plea for his guilt. Then later on, they had their counseling in the form of a gayam, a traditional chant, so that this will help Beneye realize what he did, and then he's going to change his ways and not be the one to lead in illegal fishing. Then later on, there was a celebration of Kadok, and then also singing of Salidumay. This is a celebration to show that he is accepted back in the community. Another case which has been settled by the Council of Elders is the smuggling of Nara lumber. So there are many Nara trees in the mountains of Buklo, and these are banned by DNR and even in the local ordinance that this will not be cut and be sold. It is only allowed to fell them when there is construction of a house, or for example, making a bridge or a school or the plaza. These are the only times when the Nara is allowed to be felled by the community with the approval of the Council of Elders. Then this is a case of smuggling the Nara lumber. Simpakyo, not his real name, is a resident of Bukluk, Abra. He attempted to bring a jeep load of Nara pleaches to Bangged to sell them. but Barangay Tanod and members of the Council of Elders learned of his trip and blocked him at the local checkpoint before he can go out of the municipality. When Sintaki was interrogated, he insisted that the flitches are driftwoods gathered from the Masadiit River after the typhoon area. But of course, Council of Elders did not believe him. So what did they offer him to do? They demanded that he is going to swear or to make an oath, or what we call in the local dialect as sapata, a ritual undertaken when somebody is going to violate a particular ordinance of the barangay. And the sapata can determine whether a suspect is telling the truth or not. If he tells the truth, he would be spared from the consequences of lying. But if he swears and tells a lie, he would be punished by his own words and God who is witnessing him, like having a bloated stomach, he gets blinded, or with a swollen penis, or be struck by lightning, or bitten by a snake, or meet an accident that may even lead to his death. And Sittakyo did not want that this will happen to him. So what did he do? He feared the consequences of the curse. So he admitted his offense of cutting Nara from the Lapat holders and the Council of Elders. He was asked to pay 3,000 pesos, fed the whole community by butchering a carabao, and his Nara flitches were confiscated. And finally, these flitches were used as construction materials to build the barangay hall. From these different cases, which are settled by the Council of Elders, I tried to draw out the steps in indigenous conflict settlement, which is common in all the different cases. So the first step is filing of the case in the Lalakay court. So it's only a minimal amount. They usually pay 100 pesos, so that this will be filed to the barangay level. Then the accused and also the complainant are being summoned for a forum in the plaza, and the arbitration begins. So during the arbitration, the case is presented, what needs to be settled, then investigation of the case, negotiation, also the presentation of witnesses, evidences. If the whole community could present any of this, then they are free to input on the deliberation. Then after this, there will be the arriving of the session by the Council of Elders, who even serve as investigators and the judge of the case to be settled. Then there is a meting of the penalty given to the accused if found out to be guilty. However, he is not left there, but he is given the chance to be reconciled with the complainant, with the whole community, by means of a celebration and promising that he is not going to do the violation again. In that way, he is integrated back to the community as their own son, their own brother or sister, and reconciled with the complainant. So usually at the end of the celebration, wherein the reconciliation happens and integration, there is eating, dancing, and chanting of Ugayam and singing of Salunibay, which is a very concrete manifestation that now the community is accepting back the erring member. Characteristics of the Tingguian conflict resolution. So it has been found out that the Tingguian conflict resolution is speedy, because usually when there is a case to be solved, it does not reach the following morning. Before the sun sets, this is being settled. So the Council of Elders tries to see that this will not stay longer and they will settle it before the sun sets. It is also democratic because the complainant is free in order to air his complaint to the Council of Elders, and also the suspect is given the chance in order to prove his point and to defend his side. It is participative. The whole community are being invited during the hearing of the case, and they join the forum in the plaza, and everybody is free in order to tell what is his opinion on that particular case. It is less cost. Nobody will be paid. The Council of Elders are not going to receive any honorarium or remuneration compared to when you are going to file a case in the court. That's very expensive. Even the filing fee is very, very big amount. And whenever there is a court hearing, then it is going to ask again a fee for the appearance of the attorney. So many expenses, but in the Tingguian conflict resolution, it is less cost. So perhaps the money which is only asked from the one who is penalized is within his means, because they could even bargain. So for example, he comes from a poor family and the one who is being meted out for the penalty could not really afford to give it. So he could bargain in order to make it lower, or even ask some of his relatives in order to chip in so that he will be able to settle the amount which is asked from him. It is also reconciliatory because at the end of the day, whoever is the complainant and also the one who is accused, they will be brought back as brothers and sisters, forgiving each other. So even before Christianity was introduced, Tingguian communities had been already practicing how is it to forgive one another, an erring member of the Tingguian cultural community. And it is integrative. It does not isolate somebody who has committed a mistake or who had an offense of the law. They are brought back and integrated back to the cultural community. Conclusion. The Tingguian conflict resolution is implemented by the Lalakay or Council of Elders, who are the traditional governing body in the indigenous cultural community of the Tingguians. The process of the conflict resolution involves filing of the case, summoning the complainant and the accused in the traditional court hearing, presentation of the case, arbitration, investigation, presenting of witnesses and evidences, arriving at a decision, giving of penalty, reconciliation, and integration of the accused into the community. The Tingguian conflict resolution is described as speedy, democratic, participative, less cost, reconciliatory, and integrative. Recommendations. The Samasadi Tingguian's conflict settlement can serve as a model in resolving problems and conflicts even in other communities. In non-indigenous communities, this can be replicated, but enhanced or improved as needed based on the case at hand and the context. Other indigenous knowledge systems and practices of the Tingguians can be studied to foster recognition, promotion, protection of the rights of the indigenous peoples, and to sustain peace and order, not only in the community, but in the whole society of the Philippines. These are my references, the names of the key informants. Thank you for having invited me to share in this forum. Matago-tago ta kay Luzon. Long live the Tingguians. Long live the Russian University and also Abra State Institute of Sciences and Technology that is always encouraging us in order to do research, especially on Tingguian communities.
Mabuhay po. Marami pong salamat. Thank you so much, Dr. Elsa Bagioan. This is a very interesting report on the, I would say, justice system of Tingguians, and I'm sure that later, after our second speaker finishes his report, we will have considerable number of questions for you. So I would like to ask you to still stay with us and wait for the question and answer session. And now I would like to invite our second speaker, Dr. Petronilo, I'm sorry, the instructor of the Institute of State Institute of Abra, Mr. Petronilo Elveña, who is proceeding with the topic of justice system, traditional justice system in the Abra province. And we will learn about the Badong justice system of the Banao, Gubang, and Mabaka tribes of the province of Abra. Mr. Petronilo, could you please start sharing your presentation? The floor is yours. Thank you. Do we have the speaker with us? Oh, yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Good evening here in the Philippines and good morning there in Russia.
Afternoon.
I'm going to, because of intermittent internet connection, maybe I would prepare to close my video. I may afraid that the middle of the discussion would be lost on the can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
No?
That's great.
Yes, proceed.
So I want to share with you my simple research which focus on the Bodong system of the Banao, Gubang, and Mabaka tribes of the municipality of Malibcong in the province of Abra. A second slide, please, sir. Okay, so in the introduction of this study, okay, basing from the philosophical contention of Thomas Hobbes on his discussion of the Leviathan, emphasized that man is not only corrupt and untrustworthy by nature, but also by nature he has the perfect right, provided he has the power to take whatever he pleases from anyone. This is the thought and claw laws of the jungle, where the mighty rules in place, where might takes right. Hence, such law applies to human beings in constant conflicts. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, on the other hand, enunciated that important factor of the social contract principle is guarantee of legal equality that is endowed by nature to men. Furthermore, the compact compensates for any deficiency and discrepancy in physical or intellectual inequality owing to individual differences. Okay. The Gubang, Banao, and Mabacat Tinggan tribes in the municipality of Malibcong have shared inclusive common experiences with the rest of the indigenous communities in the Cordillera, among the Tinggians in the province of Abra, and I believe all the indigenous people entire the world. They went through times of antiquated savage nature, as Faye Cooper Cool and American anthropologists had described them as the gentle savages, when they historically practiced kayaw or headhunting but gradually transformed into a people respectful of the rights and lives of anyone, even outside their tribe. Historically, the forging of the budong was due to the prevalent practice of the kayaw, or headhunting between warring tribes in the Cordillera. The budong conditionally directed towards killing prevention. Professor Bienvenido Balwe explained historically, the budong does not identify or distinguish between murder and homicide. Every death is to be avenged by death. In local dialect, we call it tipo matoy, matoy meat. One who kills is to be killed. It was a dictum unquestionably accepted by all. In the study of Panau 2004, clarified that tribal war is a reciprocity. Killing is always avenged by killing. At the time, the pagta or bylaws of the budong were blessed and conditioned by the principle of a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye. However, with the advent of Christianity and the influence of globalization per se, such dictum was unilaterally modified. The Tingguians of Malibkong, aware of the necessity of living in harmony with other ethnolinguistics in the province of Abra and the Cordillera region, as they do with their environment, conceive a practical means to end the hostilities and to have freedom of movement in the vast ethnic territory. This is the rationale of the budong or peace pact, which the Gubang, Banao, and Mabaka tribes of Malibkong were caught up and lived with it through the rest of their existence. So that the budong is a bilateral system of relationship or covenant between two tribal groups sharing common interests for mutual protection, cooperation, and cooptation and crime prevention. Budong practitioners entered into a contract to protect the lives and properties of both binodngan or both parties to allow freedom of their citizens to conduct productive activities in areas covered by the budong and the incessant torrent of assistance among binodngan or peace partners or cohorts in cases of danger and experience of jeopardy. Hence, the responsibility to either prevent the upheaval of conflicts or if there are conflicts that inadvertently emerge, amicable settlement, as generally highlighted in the pagta or bylaws of the budong, should always ensue. The spirit of the budong then emanated from the people, the umili of both binodngan parties, so that the philosopher Rousseau made it clear that members of a social contract share a common interest, that what is injurious to one proves detrimental to all, and what benefits one is conducive to the good of all. Next slide, please. So under the introduction, I separated the presentation into two areas. The implementation of the PAGTA, the statutes and the provision of the budong and the leadership capability of the budong holders and budong initiator, and of course the community participation of the budong guarantors. In the implementation of the PAGTA of the budong, the PAGTA is the bylaws of the budong. Okay. The PAGTA, which according to the study of Father Dominic Gayoni, SVD, is sprouted from the Spanish word pacto, which means pact. Hence, the pacta is the symbiotic meeting point of agreement and adherence, which leads to the crafting of bylaws and provisions as frameworks to abide with the budong. Hence, the pacta are laws intertwining the just implementation of its provisions. Okay. The pacta makes the budong a regulative system of governance among the ethno-linguistic groups of the municipality of Malibkong, sharing the same principles with the rest of the indigenous people in Abra and the whole Cordillera region. The implementation of the PAGTA in the municipality of Malibkong Abra makes the budong a significant social framework, since the budong is the basic institutions by which life, territory, and integrity are protected. The PAGTA of the budong focuses on prioritizing the dignity and rights of both PISPA cohorts or binodngan parties in the resolution of disputes whenever there are, and the sustainability of peaceful coexistence. If there are direct and indirect offenses, the PACTA stresses the tendering of compensation, classifying the process or processes of imposing compensation as a type of punishment that leads to amicable settlement of the case. The provisions of the PACTA cover various offenses such as murder, accidents resulting in death or injury, reckless imprudence, robbery, theft, rape, adultery, arson, defamation, threats, and territorial exploitation. The reprobates are mandated to pay indemnity or reparation based on the gradation of the committed agreed amount during the making of the PACTA. They are also responsible for shouldering all expenses incurred during the settlement process. The PACTA allows for amendments and recognizes that certain cases may require alternative handling, such as non-binodngan or outsider, criminals seeking refuge, and or cases involving armed groups. In this instance or instances, appropriate authorities must be notified and the offender is still subject to the provisions of the PACTA, including indemnity payment and expense coverage pertaining to the reparation and settlement of the committed crime. Okay. On the leadership capability of the budong holders and budong initiator and community participation of the umili or guarantors. Okay. Leadership is an essential quality required for the institutionalization and implementation of the bylaws or the PACTA of the budong system. The budong holders selected by the Council of Elders or Lalakay represents the tribe in the forging of the budong. This position is of utmost importance as it makes the budong holder the spokesperson for the tribe and the main custodian or steward of the budong. The budong holder must possess moral rectitude, charisma, fair-mindedness, and be upright at all times in his decision and actions. They must also be mindful of the territorial boundaries of each tribe, responsible for their own people, and protect the environment. The budong holder is also responsible for welcoming visitors through the celebration Pangili, okay, and ensuring the well-being of PAC cohorts or partners. They assist in trading and business affairs with other tribes and seeing to it that theft cases and debt collection must be avoided at all costs. Being a budong holder is a privilege but comes with great responsibilities, and they shoulder most of the expenses during the budong festivity. The budong initiators, or which is composed by the Council of Elders or the Lalakay, are esteemed individuals in each tribe due to their moral virtues, wisdom, and courage that are believed to be ordained by Kabunyan, God. They are responsible for initiating and establishing the budong with another tribe, as well as selecting a budong holder. When creating the PACTA, the Council of Elders play a crucial role in defining its provisions and statutes. They discuss past issues and cases to establish a framework for just and humane laws that can adapt to current and future situations. They fully support the budong holder in implementing the PACTA and act as litigators in any cases that arise, ensuring that the PACTA is applied justly to any offenders. The budong guarantors, they are the people, the common masses, the umili in the tribe. Okay? The budong guarantors ensure peace, unity, and well-being in the community. These guarantors serve as witnesses to the forged budong agreement, which guarantees these assurances. The umili's presence signifies community participation and their collective initiative to contribute to the success of the budong and the implementation of its bylaws or PACTA. They provide material, logistical, and technical support during the budong festivity or celebration. Community participation goes beyond helping with chores, as the umili plays an effective role in the implementation of the PACTA. They view the Badong as theirs and are united in adhering to the statutes and provisions of the Badong. Next slide, please. Tech support.
Next slide. Makaturog sa matan. Ituloy mo lang anan.
Okay. So, go to the methodology. Okay. So this study has utilized then the descriptive survey method of research. It is designed to analyze and validate the level of leadership capability of the Budong initiators and Budong holders, which on the other hand supported by the level of community participation of Budong guarantors that purportedly warranted the effectiveness of the Budong system among the 3 tribes in the municipality of Malibong, Abra. Okay. According to Best, 1989, this method of research is substantial in describing present condition. The data were gathered using a questionnaire, after which the data were tabulated and analyzed through the utilization of statistical tools to answer the problem raised in the study as depicted on the table above. Okay, so the stated methodology is harnessed with the following conforming questions in order to extend deeper in analyzing the effectiveness of the Budong as an incessant regulatory system for the promotion and sustainability of social justice, peace and harmony, and inclusive socio-economic development. Okay, what is the level of leadership capability of the Budong initiators and Budong holders in terms of social responsibility and moral integrity? What is the level of community participation, okay, as stewards of the PAGTA and on crime prevention and conflict resolution? Next slide, please. Okay. Okay. So, on the population sample, since the study was quantitative in nature, even though the context is a descriptive survey method, the researchers started from the perspective or spectrum of positivism in the selected instrument, measured variables, and assessed statistical results. The intervention of SWOT analysis helped on the core understanding of the level of leadership capability of the Budong initiators and Budong holders and participation of the umili or the people in adherence to the implementation of the bylaws or PAGTA of the Budong. The strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats were symbiotically related to the formulated questionnaires distributed to the respondents. It is further found in the results of the study that the strengths always override the possibility of the dominance of threats and weaknesses, which resemble the persistent prevailing of opportunities due to the sturdy commitment and responsibility of the people, the Budong initiator, Budong holder, and Budong guarantors on the implementation of the PAGTA of the Budong. Hence, the respondents of the study were the 22 Budong holders, okay, 58 Budong initiators, and 150 Budong guarantors in the municipality of Malibong, Abra. Okay, and random sampling was employed for the Budong holders and Budong initiators and the Budong guarantors. So you can see on table 1 the distribution of population sample. Okay. So I will not read it anymore. Okay. So that the municipality of Malibong is composed of 3 tribes or ethno-linguistic groups, the Banao, Gubang, and the Mabaka as being justified by their socio-demographic profile. Okay, of the 230 respondents, 80 or 34.8 are from the Gubang. I forgot to say. Next slide, please. Okay. Gubang tribe, which justifies that the Gubang tribe is more active concerning the administration of the Bodong, considering the fact that the Gubang tribe has the highest numbers of forged Bodong with the neighboring tribes in the Cordillera like Kalinga, Apayao, Mountain Province, and in Abra Prese. With a total of 150 respondents out of 230, the majority of the Bodong members are Bodong guarantors. The Bodong guarantors are composed by the tribe's youth, women, and adults. Bodong guarantors act as witnesses. Therefore, it is expected that they will always rally behind the Bodong holders and Bodong initiators in adhering to the pagta of the Bodong. Okay. So, yes, objective of the study. As per both on the methodology of the study, the objective attempted to determine and analyze the level of effectiveness of the Bodong system relative to the promotion and of sustainability of social justice, peace and harmony, and inclusive socioeconomic development. Okay, so as emphasized on the methodology, these are the two questions which is the basis of the researcher in coming up with the questionnaire, okay, being distributed to the respondents. Okay. So let us try to move then to slide 9, sir, with the result and discussion. Okay. Yeah, slide 9. Okay. The result and discussions. Okay. So on problem number 1, which is the level of leadership capability of the Bodong initiators and Bodong holders in terms of social responsibility, okay, and moral integrity. You are now moving with the conclusion. Okay. Slide 9, please.
Previous slide, please. Slide 9.
Slide 9.
Slide 9.
Nalpas na matan.
Isublim di ko, slide 9. May sapay,
Slide
kita.
9. Ito, this one. Okay. So, slide 9. On social responsibility. So, these are the elements of the questionnaire that the researcher drafted and distributed to the respondents. Social responsibility, Bodong holders and Bodong initiators do their responsibilities in the smooth initiation of the Bodong festivity. So you can read it and until 5. So on social responsibility, according to ethical principle of social responsibility, each person is responsible for carrying out their civic responsibilities and their deeds must benefit society as a whole. Thus, there needs to be balance between environmental protection, human well-being, and economic progress. Okay. Social commitment is possessed by both Bodong holders and Bodong initiators. Hence, the leadership capability of the Bodong holders and Bodong initiators, as shown in the table, okay, A5 with a total mean rating of 4.28, okay, has garnered a descriptive rating of excellent. Okay. So the overall main rating of 4.16 tallied the descriptive rating of very satisfactory. This means that both Bodong holders and Bodong initiators are committed to their responsibilities to respond to the demands of the Bodong system, and they are capable of enforcing the pagta or bylaws without partiality. Okay. On moral integrity, okay, as shown on the table in item B6, it reveals that the total mean rating of 4.29 has reached a descriptive rating of excellent 2. This further accentuates the moral integrity of the Bodong holders and Bodong initiators as models for students and just promulgators of the pagta, which is exceptional. Okay. Hence, the overall total mean rating of 4.18, which is very satisfactory, connotes the stalwart principles and fervent integrity of both budong holders and budong initiators to implement the law of the budong. Slide 10, second to the last slide. Okay. So it is the level of community participation. Okay. Sir, slide 10. Okay, so problem number two, what is the level of community participation? Okay. The level of community participation as depicted on the two table presented on this slide. Okay. Item A1 reveals a total mean rating of 4.22 and item A4 with 4.24 garnered a descriptive rating of excellent 2. This further heightens the budong guarantors religiously adhered to their responsibilities in doing their tasks for the success of the budong festivity and other occasions relative to the involvement of the kabudong or PISPAC partners. It is not only confined to on the budong festivity, but the responsibility to always follow and respect the bylaws or the pagta of the budong. Hence, the overall total mean rating of 4.20 is very satisfactory, which further assures that the budong system is a very effective system of social accord. Okay. On crime prevention and conflict, the data in table 4, item B shows the general total mean rating of 4.25. Okay. Or the general total mean of 4.18 rather, justifying the level of community participation in crime prevention and conflict resolution is very satisfactory, albeit item B.2 has a main rating of 4.25, which is equated to excellent. However, associating with the other items which reap very satisfactory, find collective congruency on their commitment and integrity to respect and follow the pagta of the budong, of which they are always committed to doing their roles and preventing any escalation of crimes. Okay, on the last slide, the conclusion and recommendation. Okay. So the leadership capability of the budong holders and budong initiators in terms of social responsibility and moral integrity have enormous impacts on the efficient implementation of the pagta of the budong directed towards the sustainability of peace, security, and welfare of both Pinodngan PISPAC partners. This implies that the prevention of moral decadence, promotion of harmony and hospitality, peace and justice, protection and respect to human rights, and successful settlement of conflicts, if there are untoward violations, are fundamentally dependent on the leadership capability of the budong holders and budong initiators. On the other hand, the yardstick of the effectiveness of the budong system is emphasized also by the colossal commitment of the umili to religiously enmesh themselves on the collective mandates of the pagta of the budong. It is noted from the gathered data that the budong guarantors or umili adhere pragmatically to the budong and sustain their deep respect to its ideals and its pagta. The budong guarantors are responsible enough to condemn any crime-related acts, to report reckless violators if there are, and to harness justice and morality. Therefore, the effectiveness of the budong system is dependent on community participation. The sense of responsibility and solidarity among the umili to follow, respect, and protect the pagta determines substantially its effectiveness as a viable justice system. Okay, that's why the recent study of the ASIST, if I'm mistaken, in the municipality of Balibong, it is reported that there is zero crime rate because of the continuous practice of the budong. Okay. To fully widen then on the recommendation, to fully widen then the ironclad of the budong, it is recommended that the perimeter and parameters of the budong must transcend from the bilateral frameworks, which would mean that the budong should have clear-cut stance on its spatial statutes and provisions to include armed groups like the CPP, NPA, AFP, CAPGO, Private Army, and PNP. Hence, a follow-up study on the following should be conducted: the PAGTA and its statutes and provisions, the Budong as an exemplar framework of culture-based governance. Okay, thank you very much for having with me online. Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Petronilo, for this insightful report. And indeed, this is for the first time that I think all of us, at least from the Russian part, have heard about this traditional judicial system of the Abra province tribes. Thank you so much. And I'm sure there are many questions, or at least a considerable number of them. Who would like to be the first to ask any of our speakers? Please present yourself and mention to whom your question is addressed. You're most welcome. Yeah, Professor Elena, yes, please switch on your...
Yeah, thank you. So maybe my question is addressed to both speakers, because it's not, or at least for me, it's not very clear if these systems of traditional justice, if I can call it so, so cooperate in some way with the state system of justice. I mean, police, army, and so on. Do they help each other, or maybe this system of Lalakai and Bodong is used instead of the state system of justice, instead of police? Or how do they work together or separately, or do they help each other, and some other details of their cooperation, if possible? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who would be willing to answer? Dr. Elsa?
Thank you very much for the question, ma'am. For the communities belonging to the upland municipalities practicing the Lalakay system, usually when there is a case which is already filed to them, the police do not anymore meddle in the solution, in the resolving of the conflict. So this is the reason why there is no crime rate, zero crime rate, which is being reported by the police, because it's usually settled within the community. So I repeat, police do not anymore meddle in the solution of the case, in the settlement of when this is already being filed to the Lalakay.
Oh, I see. Thank you very much. It's very important.
Uh,
You see, so they play the role of local police also.
Dr.
Thank you
Elsa,
very much.
thank you. And I think there is an additional question to this, which maybe Victoria, you could read it from the chat box, because it's also referred.
Sure. We have one more question in our chat box. This one from Mr. Freemark Bengat. I think it was addressed to
Dr. Elsa.
Dr. Elsa. Yes. So the question is, seeing the offenses presented were only those moderate offenses, how about those heavy offenses like murder? How is the process, the Lalakai or the Council of Elders about that? Is this still part of their responsibility to settle?
Yes, even criminal cases are being settled in the traditional court system. So it's not only civil cases, but also criminal cases, like, for example, the murder.
Dr. Elsa, and then my follow-up question to this, and how then this system treats the outsiders of the community, some foreigners or just outsiders who came to the territory and has violated some rules, the local law.
the fact that they come to the community, then they are duty bound in order to follow the ordinances of the tribe.
Yeah, sure. But what I mean is, as far as I understood, those who are members of the community, all those taking oath and being afraid of the curse in case they lie to the council of elders, this makes sense to them, and they feel that they may be cursed, and that there will be some strong consequences for their lies, for instance, to the court, to the council of elders. But if it's some kind of a foreigner who does not believe in all those curses, and then therefore it's very easy for him or her to just lie, to plead guilty, etc. How in this case will they be punished?
So there is a continuous investigation of the case. It's not only that the making of the swearing and also the oath is only a part of it, so that they will be able to ferret out the truth from the offender or from the suspect. But that is only one of the strategies in order to bring out the truth on a particular case. But there is a continuous investigation, also presentation of evidences, also witnesses, in order to prove the truth of what the complainant and also the suspect is going to tell.
Dr. Elsa, our attendees still worry about those criminals who commit some heinous crimes such as rape, murder, arson. What are the punishment for them from this, according to this Lalaka system?
So usually the punishment is determined by the council of elders. But for example, rape, they are really given a big amount of money. If, for example, they are going to settle a big amount of money for a particular rape. For murder, usually they are going to ask for $1 million, or even or if they are going to bargain, 750, like that. It's a big amount of money that is being asked from the offender.
And even those murderers are never reported to the police? They do not go to jail?
This can be settled within the community. But if it is not settled, then that's the time when the police are going to come in.
Okay, so money first. Okay, thank you. I would like, do we have more questions to Dr. Elsa? Yes, Dr. Carlos.
Okay, so if you're saying that if the case has been filed before the police, then the lalakay will are off limits already to meddle in the case. You're saying that?
No, it's going to go first to the lalakay. If they are going to file the case to the lalakay, then if, for example, all different processes and negotiations have not worked out, then usually that is brought to the court already.
So, for example, Abra is not necessarily known to be a peaceful province during election time. There are lots of killings during election time. So what does the Bodong have to say about this? Or they don't involve the Bodong anymore? Because what we read from the newspapers of the scene, the news is there's always killing. So they're all reported to the police. So the Bodong is off limits anymore when it comes to those cases.
Sir, can I answer that question?
Mr. Petronilo, please.
Sir, I think this is one of the limitations of the pagta of the Bodong. Because if you go to the definition, of the pagta of the Bodong, it is bilateral, meaning it is a covenant between two tribes. So if there are offenders outside, outside these two tribes, and I think this is the time that it is being passed, or if it's being delegated to the lalakay, or if it is outsider, and then maybe to the police, because I think in the Bodong system, whatever are being crafted in the pagta or the bylaws, that is what we are going to follow.
Yeah, so
Okay?
it's
And I
it's
think
always
that's
a
the limitation
bilateral.
of the Bodong.
It's always a bilateral agreement. So if an outsider outside of the tribes that entered into a bodong
Yes.
is involved, so it would the police takes over.
Yeah.
Oh,
Going back to the question of Dr. Mama, I think
Prolog.
Dr. Bacnanova a while back,
Uh-huh.
a certain foreigner go coming to the tribe, and then I think he committed a crime. I think in the perspective of the Budong, that is outside already about the context of bilateral relationship because you are not included
yes, that
in
was
it.
my point.
And
Yes.
I think this is time if it could be settled on the tribe per se through the council of elders. I think could because it is directed toward amicable settlement, reparation of whatever damage happened, okay, on that case. However, if it is not, as per Ma'am Elsa said a while ago, and it is the time that it is what you call this? It is passed through the authority through the police.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And I think
Thank
that's
you,
what we
Mr.
can
Petronilo.
about.
Victoria, could you please read aloud this commentary from
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes, sure. We have a comment here from Sharon Belnek. I'm from upland municipality, especially Banao tribe. Yes, sir, Aris Balsita. I witnessed the case of the certain heinous crime cases. Some were not solved from the Lala, okay? Usually now cases like this reported to the police, LGU, and DSWD.
Okay, thank you. And one more, I think. So this
And
is
one more.
Mhm.
Um,
Primark Banget again.
Yes, I really love the topic and very concerned how the Lalakai settles murder cases, where in fact that is a real heavy case to settle, which should be meddled by the police and the justice system from the state. Other cases filled to the elders, which was not successfully settled. If yes, what action did they do? Did they refer it to the justice state or the state?
Of the Republic, yeah. Are there any cases of unsettled?
There are cases which are not settled by the Council of Elders. So in such a case, that is brought to the justice system of the Philippines. And it's already the attorney and the judge are going to do something about it. But
Dr.
there are some cases.
Thank you, and thanks to for the questions to our attendees. Dr. I have yet another question about this Ogayam ceremony that you mentioned. As far as I understood, it's conducted after the Council of Elders has announced their verdict. Is it that, am I correct? So is it any kind of ritual addressing some gods or diwatas? What kind of ceremony is it? Does it entail some addressing to gods?
Yes, because the communities are now Christians, and so when there are reconciliation and then healing and also integration, they usually address it to that. In fact, the people of the Masadiit are very religious people. Now they believe in God who is going to intercede for them in their fight for justice and bringing what is true, what is the truth. So when they make a ritual, they address the prayer to Kabunyan. That's a local term for God, and he is still the same God of all of us.
Yeah, so like the supreme God, right, Kabunyan. So they address him for this, yeah, for the help. I would like to ask just at least some details of this ceremony. Is it chanting some rhymes? Is it chanting some epics? Or what does it include? Could you please tell us?
So it's a spontaneous chanting that comes from the Council of Elders, giving an advice to both the offender and the one who complained, bringing them to reconciliation.
This is very interesting. Thank you so much.
Sample, Ma'am Elsa.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
And
And yes, yes,
you may add Sir Elveña, Sir Petronilo.
yes, Sir Petronilo. I think you've mentioned something, Sir Petronilo? Not yet?
No, no.
Okay. And yet another question, if possible. And this procedure of Zapata swearing, how does this swearing procedure look? Especially what consequences are expected if this interrogated accused person still lies after taking this Zapata? What are the consequences expected? So is he going to get sick or maybe
Oh, yeah.
die unexpectedly, or what is supposed to be?
Mhm. So that is really a very, what's this? Bringing tragic consequence to the liar, the person, and many who lied and yet made the swearing really were being punished in their own way. For example, there was a man who was being suspected to have stolen carabaos. And then the man was brought to the traditional court. Then later on, he made the swearing or the sapata, and he said, may all the members of my family become paralyzed when I am not telling the truth, that I really did not steal the carabaos. You know what happened? One by one, all the members of the family were never able to walk.
Oh my gosh.
Different times, different period,
Oh my gosh.
starting from the eldest, then later on the younger brother, and even their youngest sister.
Oh, kawawa naman eh. Thank you so much, Elsa. It's terrifying and very interesting. Dear guests, dear attendees and colleagues.
We have
Yes, do you have?
I think we have one more question from Dr. Yelena.
Yes.
Should raise your hands.
Marilyn, oh, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you,
yes.
thank you
Yeah.
very much. So maybe it's not connected with the main topic, but of our discussion today. But I would like to ask one question about the role of the different local and Filipino languages in the area. Is Tagalog or Filipino is learned or taught in schools, and is it used in some spheres of communication, or only local languages are used? What can you tell? Well, maybe a few words about language situation in the region. Thank you very much.
Okay. So the government has been introducing the mother tongue, especially for basic education. But the moment they go to high school and they go to college, English is being used. And for those majoring in Filipino and also in Filipino subjects, then the Filipino language is being used in school.
So Filipino is not obligatory for all, but just for those who choose Filipino direction in studies, right? So like if a student wants to be a technical specialist, he or she will study mother tongue first and then English, skipping the Filipino instruction, right? Did I get it?
No, because usually that is taken by first year. Filipino is taken by first year students.
Okay.
It's a course for all of them.
Thank you.
And do they really know Filipino at least to some extent?
Oh yes, since that is our national language.
They can speak Filipino. Because I was in Banawi, maybe about 20 years ago. And in fact, the local people didn't use Filipino. They used English or local languages. And now, is the situation the same or has it changed?
Sir Lilo, kindly also give your idea of that. because you
Can
came
I
from
answer the
Yes, sure.
question for Dr. Elena?
Yes, please.
For most Filipinos, Filipino, which is based in Tagalog, is almost
Yeah.
always the second language.
I
The first
see.
language is always, of course, the mother tongue.
Uh-huh.
And then Filipino, at least for me, Filipino is the second language. I am an Ilocano, so that's my first language, and then I
I
learned
see.
Tagalog, Filipino. That's my second language before English, because that's what's being taught in school.
I see. Thank you very much. And as far as I know, Ilocanos like and respect their language, their mother tongue very much.
Yeah, although here in Abra, Ilocano, I think it's not the mother tongue. They have a
Sure.
different language.
Yes.
So
I
most of our participants here at least know four languages, their native tongue, and then Ilocano, and then Tagalog, and then English.
I see.
Nika, I think we have some
Thank you
more
very
questions, right, in the chat box. Could you please read them?
Yes, we have, I think, 2 or 3 more questions. First one from Janeline Pensiano. If the case is already solved, but the accused repeats what she did, what should the counsel should do? Will they pay again? Are there no other written or any? Thank you.
Elena.
Yeah. So,
There
Ricardo.
are written,
Dr. Bacolano, I
Yes.
think I'm sorry, I have to go. I have another.
Sure, Dr. Carlos, thank you so much. But
Okay,
I hope we proceed with
President,
questions and answers.
I have to go first. Anyway, we will meet later for
Yeah.
further next on our part.
thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Dr. Tabun.
Thank you very much, and see you.
Very good
Yes.
learning experiences. Learning experience. Congratulations, Dr. Elsa. Congratulations, Mr. Petronilo. Thank you very much for learning.
So, thank you,
Yamang
Dr.
tapo,
Carlos.
sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Tony. Bye-bye.
Yeah. So, and
Okay.
we are proceeding. We still have some questions. Yeah. Dr. Elsa and Mr. Petronilo, could you please answer? Because I think this is for both of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
If
Hello,
the-
ma'am.
Yeah.
I was called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what was the question then?
If the case is already solved, but the accused person
Okay.
repeats these crimes.
During the olden time, there was this what you call this local dialect of the Gubang tribe. Okay, ito diyo si Bugoy, meaning Bugoy meaning you are no longer you are equated as persona non grata on the tribe. That was the practice before. Persona non grata meaning
They will be
of
outcast.
the
Outcast.
during the practice of the tribal war during that when the region was not yet Christianized at the time, and if there's someone was categorized as persona non grata, they're going to give the person as a punishment because you're not bringing luck or you're not contributing for the betterment of the society because you keep on doing something that could destroy the tribe's image like that. Okay. However, because if you try to go deeper on the heart of the I'm talking about the Budong, the heart of the Budong, what is always emphasized amicable settlement. So there's a deep philosophical contention on that, on the realization, because there is a belief that a person is a person. Okay? A person is not an animal. A person is a person. We believe on the change that come into the person, if that is the case. However, if he keeps in doing it, and then I think it is a time that it would be elevated to the government law or to the police. The case is elevated to a legal process.
So he is already treated as an outcast, as he's no more grata in this community, right? Thank you so much, Professor Petronilo. One last question, right, Vika? There.
Yeah, we have one last question.
Actually, it's not last because I also
Okay.
have a question for Mr. Petronilo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sige po. From Framework Benguet. One last question. How is the culture of lalaki or the council of elders being passed down to the young learners nowadays?
Yeah, nice question also. Yeah, Dr. Elsa, could you
So
please
by
switch? Yeah,
time,
thanks.
the practice of the lalakay is being transmitted to the young, even within the community. So for example, during a settlement of the case, the children are also asked in order to listen. So that way, they already start finding out how is it to inherit the practice of the lalakay. And in school, that is also being learned, especially for college. We now have Cordilleran heritage, the Tingguians of Abra, their indigenous knowledge systems and practices. So these are different ways where in the school could also come in order to become an instrument in the passing of this lalakay system and other indigenous knowledge systems and practices of the cultural groups to the young.
Thank you so much, Dr. Elsa. And if possible, I would like to ask a question to Professor Petronilo. Why is it important that the badon holder, as stated in your slide, be financially capable? What is the need of it in the judiciary process?
Okay, so I think that is one of the basic characteristic that a badong holder should possess, because in the festivity of the celebration, I think 3/4 of the expenses should be shouldered by the badong holder, and I think 1/4 of the expenses are coming from the people, from the umili in the tribe, because the celebration of the badong, I think it would take 1 week. Okay, can you imagine that two tribes are coming together, forging the pagta of the badong? It is not just going there and then sit after 2 to 3 hours, no more. It is always involved by rituals, celebration, badong festivity. Okay? That's why the badong holder should be always economically stable.
So he is the one who will pay for all of this, or just among
Yes,
those?
3/4, at least 3/4. 3/4 of the expenses.
Wow, 3/4 of the expenses. That's very.
1/4 are coming contribution of the people in the community.
Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you. And also a question for you, if possible. Did I get it right that the death by death avenge practice has already ended in the province? And if so, when did it stop? Could you tell this, please, if you have some information? Professor.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yeah, did I get it right that the death by death avenge practice has already ended in the province? You've mentioned it, but I didn't quite get when did it stop, if it did stop.
I cannot across the.
That avenge practice, you've mentioned it in the at the beginning. Was it just
Okay.
for the case of comparison, like in those times there was avenge death by death, but now we have this judiciary process which is peaceful. Did you mean this thing when you mentioned this death by death avenge?
If I get the question right,
Yeah.
I think it is already embedded to the culture. And I think that is already continuous. I think
so it's
this
continuous
culture is, yes, until now.
until now.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
What does the police think about it, as it seems to somehow contradict the state's law, killing even by avenge?
What type of contradiction?
I
What is
mean,
state law?
did I get it right that this killing the killer
Okay.
as because of the revenge is still continuous in the province? Did I get it right, or I just misunderstood you?
I didn't, I'm sorry, but there are no recent crime committed that
Oh, great.
we are going to base it as model or framework so that we could come up with a certain what you call this,
Okay.
contention that should be categorized like that. But
Mhm.
there is a certain case happen like that, as far as I know, and as far as it is ratified on the Pagta of the Badong, and then it would continue for both as is.
Thank you so much. Dear colleagues, dear attendees, do you have more questions to our speakers? As we see, the topic you have chosen for these lectures is really very interesting and insightful, and so many questions. Any more questions before we close the seminar? Yeah, we have some commentary in the chat box that on Abra it is continuous, sad to hear. Okay, thank you. So in this case, maybe dear presidents of the Institute of Abra, may I ask you to close our meeting today? We're happy that you have time to present. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr.
Baklanova, yes.
Baklanova, Ekaterina Baklanova, Dr. Lena, and of course, Madam Victoria, who came here in Abra already. And I'm very thankful for this opportunity where our personnel, Dr. Elsa Bagioan and Dr. Petronilo Elveña, presented their papers, their topics on indigenous settlement of our cases. The Abra State Institute of Sciences and Technology is very much willing to conduct related topics with you in your STEM university, ma'am. And for this is just a start. We hope that we can have more connections, and hopefully we can further enhance our cooperation on these matters. And for us, in the Abra State Institute of Science and Technology, we can also enhance our capability in terms of our internationalization program. Again, thank you, Dr. Ekaterina and Dr. Elena, and with Ms. Victoria for this opportunity. And I also congratulate my constituents, Dr. Petronilo Elveña and Dr. Elsa Bagioan, for their presentation. And with all the participants, thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you, President.
Good night. And good
yeah.
afternoon.
Thank you, President Urgesa, and on the part of our Institute of Asian and African Studies and our student club of Southeast Asia, who has been a co-organizer of this event. We would also like to thank our esteemed speakers, Dr. Elsa Bagioan and Professor Petronilo Elveña, and this was really a very interesting seminar. We would also hope to proceed our cooperation and to have more exchange of lectures and other academic or scientific events together. Let us hope to organize something in the nearest future. And we also wish you a good weekend. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Pictures.
Yeah, we've had in the beginning, we can try to, yes, to make some more, but I think people are already leaving. But shall we try? Yeah, at least, Victoria?
Yeah, we can try one more time. Why not?
Thank you. So
please.
Your camera is on. Yeah. We're much more than in the beginning. We're 70.
Yeah, let's wait a little bit. So
Okay.
okay, let's try.
Mhm.
Just a second. 1, 2, 3, smile. Great.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Kasi gabong
Thank
palakpakan
you.
sa lahat. Thank you. Ay, sige, paalam pa.
Naalam.
Paalam po.
Mhm.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, ma'am and sir.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you so much, sir and ma'am.